All right, so hello everyone. So welcome to our inaugural podcast of the Patriots, Rams, and the whole NFL season. I'm Neve Chopra, and here's the other host, Arjun. And today we're going to be discussing three different topics. So we're going to start with the Patriots, then we're going to go to the Rams, and then after that we're just going to discuss the NFL season overall. So as the NFL season starts in 9 days, it will be a very interesting start with two extremely good teams this year in the Chargers and the Chiefs taking off and kicking off. And as Arjun and me, our favorite team is the Patriots, we'll be discussing that first. So, Arjun, what do you think about the Patriots this year? What do you think their strengths and weaknesses are? What do you think their record will be?
I feel pretty optimistic this year. I think one of the biggest strengths is going to be Mike Vrabel and the new coaching staff. I think nearly everyone on that coaching staff has proven to be successful in their current role. And so I think the team is going to be a lot more well coached. We won't have like random holding penalties and stuff like that just kill drives. False starts used to be a big killer in the past few years. So I think a lot of that will be cleaned up. The defense is going to continue to be really good. I think Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the league. I think he's going to continue to establish that this year. And I think the offense is going to take a step up too. I think Drake May will start to develop a bit more. And the receivers, while admittedly not the greatest receiving room in the NFL, it's a step up, a significant step up from what they've had the past few years.
Yeah, talking about that, what do you think about Will Campbell after his preseason performance, giving up 3 sacks, having some really rough performances? Do you think he'll develop into the elite piece that the Patriots drafted him with the number 4 overall pick for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried. I tend to not really try to overreact to preseason. A lot of times we see players struggle in preseason and then go on to have really great careers and sometimes really great rookie seasons too. Like a perfect example is Jamar Chase, who really struggled in his rookie preseason. But I don't think anyone is questioning that draft pick anymore.
Yeah, and in a similar sense, I could say the same way with the Patriots. Julian Edelman, the first 2, 3 years, he was like a nobody. Then he became one of the greatest receivers for the Patriots all time, with over 600 receptions, 9,000 yards, and he became a Tom Brady's favorite target. So, on that note, Arjun, do you think Drake May could potentially be a Pro Bowler this year and repeat his Pro Bowl performance from last year? Or do you think he might take a step down, or do you think he's going to take 2 steps forward?
Take a step forward. I don't know. As much as I love Drake May, I don't know if he's gonna ascend to like an elite season in just 1 year of development. I think he's gonna be, it's gonna be an improvement from last year for sure though. And I'm thinking something in the range of maybe, I don't know, 25 to 8 in terms of touchdowns to picks, if not even slightly better than that. So I think the receiving room is going to be a huge upgrade. And of course, Josh McDaniels is as questionable as he can be as a head coach. We know he knows what he's doing when it comes to coordinating an offense.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, do you think he's going to go over 4,000 yards?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
I
Yeah.
think that'll be part of his big sort of step up in year two.
And now that we talked about the receiving core, like I'm super excited for Stephon Diggs. Even though Stephon Diggs has been a very questionable piece off the field too, and he had all his drama in the last 2 years, I feel like he's going to step up in the leadership role. I'm just waiting for Demario Douglas to really show up. I know that Keyshawn Butte is also looking really promising in cap. Kyle Williams. So which receiver are you most excited to break out this season to help Drake me?
Yeah, so I think the receiver I'm most excited for, I gotta say, Kyle Williams. At least from what we've seen in college, he's had his downs for sure, but his ups, like his ceiling, is off the charts. There was that one game where he absolutely cooked Travis Hunter, who was the consensus best defender in the draft. So
True.
I'm not saying he's gonna pop out with like 1,000 yards like Malik Neighbors or something, but I think if he's gonna have a solid rookie year, maybe 600, 500 to 600 yards, and then I think in the next few years he'll start to really ramp it up. But I think he'll develop along with Drake, and that could be a long-term sort of quarterback wide receiver duo.
Do you see him being around what Lad McConkey was last year, or do you see him being like half of that, or like three-fourths of that?
Yeah, I mean, Lad McConkey kind of overexceeded expectations. Like, people thought he was going to be good. I also don't know why the Patriots passed on him. But I don't think anyone saw him being as good as he really was. And he really goes under the radar. Like last year, everyone was talking about Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., all those other star rookie receivers. But Lad McConkey was also had an amazing rookie season. So I think that's a little bit of a high standard. I don't know if Kyle Williams will reach that just yet. But I think he's going to be solid, maybe two-thirds of what Lad McConkey did his rookie year.
All right. So on the last point of the Patriots receivers, now what do you think about Jalen Polk? Because you just mentioned Lad McConkey, and we picked Jalen Polk a pick before Lad McConkey. So what do you think about Jalen Polk now that he might be out for the season, and he was really disappointing in his first year?
Yeah, honestly, it looks quite bleak for Jalen Polk. I think unless he has some insane breakout year 3 or something, like where he goes over 1,000 yards, I think he's just going to be like N'Keal Harry 2.0. Unfortunate that all of their early drafted wide receivers seem to turn out this way, but I have very little hope left, unfortunately.
All right. So on the last 2 points of the Patriots, so first let's discuss their defense. So I know you just mentioned that the defense is going to be very aggressive under Terrell Williams. Do you think Christian Gonzalez could be a top 5 corner this year? Because I could really see him being somewhere around what Pat Surtain or something was in their second year. I'm not saying currently now, but what they were in their second or third year, I could see Christian Gonzalez being something like that. But also the emergence of Carlton Davis coming on the other side, who Jamar Chase had called the best cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, it might be slightly biased, but I think Christian Gonzalez is a top 5 corner in the NFL right now. So I think for sure he can definitely have a top 5 season next year. Terrell Williams, I will say, as much as everyone else on the coaching staff is proven, Terrell Williams is kind of the one sort of wild card. We don't really know how he's going to turn out as defensive coordinator. Obviously hoping for the best, but he does play a very aggressive kind of defense, as you said. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Gonzalez is kind of going to be the person that they put on every team's wide receiver 1, and then Gonzalez will take each team's wide receiver 2. And so with that, I think it's going to be a pretty solid defense, especially with the pass rush improving. Milton Williams looks great from the little bit that we've seen in preseason. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, overall, things look quite good for that Patriots defense.
Even Harold Landry was part of this Mike Rabel 2019 defense where he had about 8 sacks. He's continued emerging every year, so he could be another huge piece. Even Keon White, who goes under the radar. And I don't
Yeah.
know about you, but the most excited piece I am for is Christian Barmore. Because he was out all of last season with the blood clots, but he could be back fully healthy this year. And if that's huge for us, because he's going to be up
For
there
sure.
in the run defense and everything. Yeah.
Barmore and Milton Williams in the middle is going to be a scary defensive tackle combo.
So the last point I wanted to mention was, what do you think about the run game? Do you think Ramondre Stevenson will get the like the head carries? Do you think it will be Travion Henderson, or do you think there'll be like a kind of a wildcat thing where all three get equal carries?
Yeah, so I think at least initially, Ramondre is going to get most of the carries. He is kind of, I don't want to say it in terms of their skill level because I know the Patriots running back room is nowhere near the talent level of the Lions running back room. But I think they're going to go with a very similar sort of committee approach where we'll see Ramondre Stevenson do a lot of the like goal line carries when you really need those like really tough 1 or 2 yards, and like just sort of the really fighting, grueling kind of wear down the defense approach. And then we'll see Travion Henderson have a kind of Jahmyr Gibbs style role where once the whole defense is tired, he'll pop in and provide that spark of explosiveness and really be sort of the big home run hitter. So I'm really looking forward to Travion Henderson. He looks amazing so far. So I think, yeah, between those two, it's going to be sort of that kind of committee approach. I would say Stevenson's going to get maybe slightly more than 50-50 of the split. But I think as the year goes on, Henderson could start to take a little more of that. And another name is, of course, Antonio Gibson, who was also pretty solid last year, considering the rest of the team was in shambles. So I'm sure he's going to get some carries, both in the run game and in terms of catching passes out of the backfield as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And also, we have to remember Mike Rabel is kind of like a Dan Campbell type coach. Like, he's a tough nosed guy. He might not be a very
Yeah.
strong offensive or defensive play caller, but he's a very tough nosed, great locker room leader, great locker room presence, always dies for his team to win. So now we're going to discuss the LA Rams. And as the Rams are one of the top Super Bowl contenders this year, led by Matthew Stafford, who recently had a back injury, but he's back. He practiced 3 times this week, and Sean McVay said he's fully healthy. So if he's there, this team will be amazing because they added Devontae Adams. They already had Puka, Kyren Williams in the backfield. So Arjun, what do you think the record for the Rams will be this year? Do you think they'll still be Super Bowl contenders, or do you think they'll be out of the playoffs?
I think it all comes down to, as you said, Matthew Stafford's health. So assuming he stays fully healthy, I think they run away with the NFC West, and I think they are definitely in the Super Bowl contenders conversation. I could see them, as for record, I'd say somewhere around 10 to 12 wins seems realistic. I don't know if they're really going to go like 14-3 or 15-2 or something insane like that. But I think they're definitely going to get like the 10 to 12 wins that they need to win their division. And then once they get into the playoffs, I mean, it's honestly, Sean McVay and Matt Stafford are one of the most experienced head coaching and quarterback sort of combos that are out there. So
Yes.
they can handle the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because we also saw them winning the Super Bowl in the first year with Cooper Cup and OBJ as their two receivers. Now that same thing could be replicated with Devontae Adams and obviously Puka Nakua,
Yeah.
who are actually, if you think about it, this duo is, even though Cooper Cup had the triple count that year, he had a historic year, that duo was still a little worse than this duo of Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams, because Adams is one of the best route runners in the league. So now that we talk about the Rams defense, we have to talk about their front seven. So they have Kobe Turner, who's also known as the conductor. He had 10 sacks last year, even had like 9.5 his rookie year. Then obviously there's Byron Young, who continues to be the leader of the defense ever since their main linebackers left. Then you have Jared Verse, who won Defensive Rookie of the Year, and a very underrated piece named Braden Fisk, who people don't know, by the way, but he was second on the team in sacks last year as a D tackle. So that's going to be a huge factor, especially with the emergence of Jared Verse being an even better defensive tackle this year. So, what do you think, Arjun? Do you think this front seven could definitely take this team to a top 10 defense, or do you think the defense will still be around that 15 to 20 range that they were in last year?
Yeah, for sure. I think they can definitely push the 10 to 15 range, even towards the upper side, maybe 10 to 12. And one interesting thing about the Rams is, as much as they're famous for the sort of like forgetting about draft picks, trading them all away, whenever they have made draft picks, they've been really good at it. A lot, I think they have a high percentage of draft hits over the past few draft picks that they've made. Perfect, of course, case in point is now Jared Verse. So I think
Jared,
a lot of the young pieces that they have in their secondary should help sort of lift it up enough to sort of cover for that front seven. So then that dangerous D line can really do its damage.
yeah, I was saying not only Jared Verse, but if you think about it, like I was mentioning Cooper Cup before, who is now on the Seahawks. He was a fifth round pick. Then you obviously have Puka, who was a sixth round pick. Then there's
Yeah,
Kyren Williams, who was a seventh round pick. So all these guys have been picked way later in the draft.
yeah,
And now that even the secondary, Kamari Hitchens, if people don't know, he's the leader of that secondary right now, and he was picked in the second round. And the thing is with him, he's completely changed the defense because even in that Seahawks game, I remember he had two interceptions for over 80 yards. He took it back. And if he can continue doing that, if he can continue being the leader of that unit, he will completely help this defense be one of the top units because their secondary last year, even the year before, and even like 3 years ago was really middle of the pack ever since like Jalen Ramsey was not healthy in 2023.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think overall, sort of, the Rams have done a great job of when they went all in for that Super Bowl, we all knew they were going to take a hit after that. You couldn't keep that many old players on expensive contracts forever. So they lost Aaron Donald, they lost Jalen Ramsey, they've now lost Cooper Kupp. They lost a ton of pieces from that Super Bowl run. Odell Beckham is another one. But because of their like super amazing drafting, they really haven't lost a step at all. Of course, the season after the Super Bowl, I think, was a little bit of a down year. But after that, they picked up right where they left off, back in that Super Bowl contender conversation.
Yes, and I think Sean McVay, as we had mentioned in the previous video about Mike Rabel, I think even Sean McVay, he's one of the best head coaches. I know he's an offensive play caller, but he's also a leader amongst men.
Yeah,
He's
definitely,
always
yeah.
been like there for his team since the age of 32. Now he's only 40, and look how much he's achieved already in 8 years as the Rams head coach. Two Super Bowls, taking Jared Goff also to a Super Bowl. So he's still going to lead the way, and he's done a tremendous job with less need. Even though the offensive line hasn't completely had a makeover, he's done a great job adding like different like players that he used to have in the past, like Coleman Shelton, for example. And I think that would really help this team because Aldrich Jackson last year struggled a lot. So the line was like a little bit of a mess last year too. And Arjun, what do you think the line could finish at this year? Do you think it could be like 12 to 15 again? Or do you think it could actually end up being in the top 10, like many people predict after like their picks, their underrated signings and all?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a chance I would sort of lean into that 10 to 12 range again, just because, of course, with the draft picks, as good as the Rams have been at drafting, there always is a little bit of uncertainty about whether that player is going to work out. Usually with offensive linemen, if it's like a top 5 pick, like Pinesu or Joe Alt or something, then you have a reasonable amount of confidence that they're going to work out. But I feel like everything after that is a little bit of a coin flip almost. So I think there is definitely a potential, and the ceiling is definitely top 10, but it is sort of yet to be seen. But then again, that is the advantage of having a veteran quarterback who has frankly played with terrible offensive lines for most of his career. So he knows how to handle that situation better than anyone. So I think really regardless of how their offensive line plays, as long as it's not like completely terrible, I think the Rams should be just fine.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. And also for their offensive line now, they added a veteran piece in Jonah Jackson, who's from that hard-nosed physical Lions offensive line. So he should be a big upgrade for them at tackle. So it will be very interesting to see how the Rams finish this year, especially with the Niners already having lost so many pieces in their division. The Cardinals being the Cardinals, like they'll probably finish 6-11, 7-10. And the Seahawks, even though they have one of the most elite defenses, for them it comes all down to Sam Darnold. So now we're going to head into our last section of the NFL season preview. And this is going to be like a little bit of a short time where we discuss other teams from around the league and what our predictions are, who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to be a surprising team, and whatnot. So, Arjun, who do you think will be your Super Bowl prediction this year? Do you think it will be the same as last year, or do you think there's going to be a huge change and shift in that?
I'd say a huge change. I'm not gonna pick the Eagles again to repeat. But I do think the team that I'm going to pick is a team that isn't completely unexpected. It's definitely one of the teams that comes to mind very quickly. So my Super Bowl pick this year is the Buffalo Bills. I think with the Chiefs sort of the way their season ended last year, I think they'll have they'll take a little bit of time to recover. Kelsey's also getting old. We'll have to see what if Rashee Rice really ends up playing, what happens there. So, of course, I think the Chiefs are going to make it deep into the playoffs, but I think if any year is the year, this is the year for the Bills to take them down. And then if it really comes down to a Bills versus Ravens AFC playoff match, I do trust Josh Allen more than Lamar in the playoffs at the moment. So my pick is definitely for the Bills to come out of the AFC. And I think if they're playing any NFC team other than the Eagles, I think I would pick them to win for sure. So I think I'm going to say my Super Bowl pick is the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills. Yeah, yeah. See, I agree with you on that too. And also another team I would like to mention. It's a little bit of a hot take, but after they re-signed Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart has looked like a beast in the training camp, I think the Bengals are going to make a lot of noise this year. They're not my pick for the Super Bowl, but I definitely think they have a shot of making the Super Bowl because of Joe Burrow's prowess with Jamar Chase and
Yeah.
T. Higgins. And also they have a better run game with Chase Brown, and they added some new tight ends, and like their offensive line also has improved a little bit like during this off season. So I think they're gonna do well because Zach Taylor made Burrow play all three preseason games due to like their slow starts in recent years where they were like 1-11 in past years in like the first like last 6 years. So the Bengals will definitely be up there, but I agree with you on the Bills. And on the NFC side, I would definitely say the Rams are up there, like we had mentioned prior, and also the Eagles would be up there, and I think the Lions could be another option.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the NFC is going to probably come down to those three teams, pretty much Eagles, Rams, Lions. I mean, the NFC North, a team like the Packers could go deep, but I don't know if I see them as being really ready to compete for a Super Bowl yet. Another super underrated NFC team this year, I think, that really could make a deep playoff run is the Bucks. I think they've made some serious upgrades. Emeka Egbuka looks really good. And assuming Baker Mayfield is able to pick up from where he left off last year, which of course will be a challenge with Liam Cohen gone, but if he's able to pick up where he left off, I don't see any reason the Bucks can't make a deep playoff run either.
Yeah, definitely, and I also think that see the Bucks are definitely there because even their defense, like on the back end, Antoine Winfield is going to be really good this year. On top of Antoine Winfield, they signed Hassan Reddick for $14 million and on a 1 year deal, so he'll be there. And lastly, the thing with the Buccaneers is there's some really underrated pieces up front, like Kalijah Kancey and William Golston. So Buccaneers, last team I want to mention, I know they won't make the Super Bowl, but they'll make a deep playoff run. It's the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, because Michael Penix could really put it together with all these weapons like Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and because even the Falcons have been waiting for almost 5 years for all their pieces to like make the playoffs finally.
Yeah, definitely. That's a super underrated team that honestly not a lot of people have on their radar.
Yeah. What do you think about the Lions? Do you think the Lions could make it?
Yeah, I think for sure the Lions have the roster to make it, as we know. There's a reason they were consensus Super Bowl favorites for most of last year before they got upset in the playoffs. It all does come down to what their team is going to look like with the big sort of coaching purge that they had. But assuming Dan Campbell is able to steer the ship and they're able to pick up where they left off, I think for sure they are in that Super Bowl conversation.
Yes, yes. I think they are in the Super Bowl conversation. I think the Bucks obviously are. Vikings could be depending on how JJ McCarthy plays. So for the last part, I just want to ask you who would your seven playoff teams be on each side?
Playoff teams?
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay,
So for
so
like
for
AFC and
yeah, for the AFC, I'm gonna say I'm gonna give the Bills the 1 seed. I'm gonna give the Ravens the 2 seed, Chiefs at 3, and then Texans at 4. And then after that is where it gets interesting. I'm gonna say Broncos at 5. I think the Broncos have made a ton of upgrades. They look really good going into this year. Um, I'm gonna put the Bengals at 6, and then I think it's a little biased, but I'm going to put the Patriots as the 7th seed to sneak into the playoffs.
nice, nice. And NFC?
NFC, I'm going to say I'm gonna say Eagles 1 seed. I'm gonna put the Rams as a 2 seed. Then I will say Bucks as 3, Lions as 4. From there it gets interesting. I think we're good. I'm gonna put the Bears in there too. Commanders, I think, are gonna make it. And then that last team is sort of a bit of a toss-up. I think it'll be a surprise team like the Falcons or Seahawks or something along those lines.
Yes, yes. Mine is very similar. AFC, I have all the same teams except instead of the Patriots, I'm huge on the Titans this year. Just because I feel like the leadership Cam Ward brings with receivers like Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Chiggy Okonkwo, who's their tight end, then Tolly Pollard in the backfield, Tajai Spears in the backfield, improved offensive line with J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronsky. And we have to remember they had the number 2 defense last year too, led by Jerry Sneed. So the defense is still going to be like definitely very formidable. So they'll definitely be there because Jeffrey Simmons hasn't gone anywhere yet. And for the NFC side, I think the Falcons will be that 7th seed.